Experiments with AI, Argumentative Essay Writing. I wanted to assess the caliber of the ChatGPT's ability to write argumentative essays. So I asked AI, please write me an argumentative essay about texting and driving. As the ChatGPT processed my request, I noticed a few elements of its writing that were recurring. First of all, the ChatGPT defaulted to paragraphs of about 2 to 4 sentences, which was interesting. There was no real variation in topic sentence design. For example, there were no questions or exclamations. There were no anecdotes or analogies or any kind of personal narratives. And there was an over-reliance on pronouns for the subjects of the sentence, particularly at the beginning of sentences. Also, I noted that facts and numerical statistics were not cited in or after their use. Also, conjuncts or conjunctive adverbs appeared but were limited for transitions. The word additionally is used twice, and one iteration, however, is used. And then, of course, in conclusion. One thing was problematic was its overuse of it, this as demonstrative pronouns in the beginning of sentences and the expletive phrase there are. Otherwise, the content was decent, albeit short. I did a regeneration of the response to look at some of these facets again with very similar results. Again, 2 to 4 sentence paragraphs, no variation in topic sentence, no anecdotes or analogies or personal narratives. Again, pronouns, mostly demonstrative pronouns in the beginning of sentences, statistics and facts not cited. And then again, conjuncts or conjunctive adverbs were used, but again, were very limited. At one point, it had used the word additionally 3 times as a sentence transition. Overall, the writing, content-wise, was fair to poor, definitely not showing the mark of a seasoned writer. I decided to attempt a different iteration or regeneration of my previous request for an argumentative essay by asking the AI if it could in fact include sources and source documentation. What's not shown is that I had previously asked this request. The computer system was unable to process my request, so I had to be very specific about how I worded the request for the documentation system and for the sources. The results were okay. One of the things I noticed on the different iterations and regenerations was that the results showed the works cited page had different names. It wasn't works cited, it was named references or sources, and most of those references or sources were bulleted or numbered. While the AI did better to cite the sources whence the request was made, the AI did rely heavily on paraphrase rather than actual quotations, which I thought was to the detriment of the writing. Another thing that's noticeable in the references is that no dates are provided. It's simply title, in some cases author or location, and then, of course, the URL. No texts or actual physical texts were referenced. In this regeneration, in this iteration, you'll notice much of the same. integration of sources, but without textual evidence in the form of quotations. Most of the representation of facts or statistical numerical evidence is, again, paraphrased, not quoted. Another thing you'll notice too is, again, the works cited page, again, is mistitled as sources, contains the bullet points, and while it does contain the dates, doesn't necessarily contain any other information. To follow up, I decided to ask the AI if it could in fact identify the claim or the thesis statement for the essay, to which it did. Then I asked the AI if it could identify the evidence or the support used specifically within the last iteration. In addition to revealing the evidence that was used, I decided to ask the AI if it could write an external rebuttal for the essay. The AI did so without hesitation. Lastly, for fun, I asked the AI for a different iteration or a regeneration of the rebuttal. Like my experiences with the writing of a conventional argumentative essay and a rhetorical analysis, what I noticed was a slight improvement in the AI's ability to generate the text. Like some second and third iterations or regenerations, the AI seemed to be making better decisions. Although I don't know if that's something that I am observing anecdotally and subjectively, or if that's something that's necessarily objectively possible. Either way, the AI presents a very interesting method for the creation of text.